Are you planning your homeschool the wrong way? If so, I am excited to be sharing with you some steps to actually help you plan the right way, but also help you understand the process that I have gone through personally that has allowed me to understand the wrong way and the right way. I'm Dollie Freeman. I am the host of today's show, Influencing Your Kids, and I cannot wait to just share one of my passions, which is planning homeschooling. And I would love to share with you a little bit of my backstory, especially if this is the first time you've ever heard me talk on the topic of the homeschooling, or maybe even the first time I talked about planning. So let me start back in 1999 when we first started our homeschooling journey. I literally took 3 years or 3 months to plan 1 year of homeschooling for our children. And that continued to be the way that I planned until 2021. And for 3 years, I planned for 3 months for an entire year. And it was becoming quite tasking, especially since I got to this place where I was expecting our third child that summer. And with that, I knew I could not spend all summer. He was due at the end of January or at the end of June. And I knew I needed to do some quick planning in order to get him to this place. And I knew I needed a faster thing that I could then build on year after year because, with a new baby, things are going to be a little more hectic than normal. And during that time, I realized that I had developed what I call a skeleton for my plans, and that all I needed to do was add the meat to it. Now, the meat is what I call our children's lessons for that year, the things that they're going to be processing inside their lesson times. So, what ended up happening is with this skeleton in place, I was then able to go from 3 months of planning every summer down to 4 weeks the very first time I began to use a skeleton. Now, let me just tell you, now I have taken that lesson, plan structure, the system that I started to develop all the way back in 2002 to a place where I can now plan an entire homeschool year for elementary in 4 hours, 4 hours, and an entire homeschooling high school year in 8 hours. So it takes some time to understand how the skeleton works. It takes some time to get that feel of trusting yourself and having confidence in your capability of planning your own curriculum. But once you know these key aspects, you will see that each and every year you follow it, that skeleton will help save hours, hundreds of hours of your planning time each and every year. And that planning time will decrease each and every year you do it. So that has been my experience of homeschool planning for 4 children. We're on our last one now, who will be going into 8th grade this school year. So it works. And what I want you to know is when you plan for homeschooling, there's one biggest mistake that I made, and I know that you're most likely making it too. And here's the thing: as a kindergarten teacher myself, I was planning out of a teacher's plan book. And that teacher's planner was my way of being on top of everything. And so now we homeschooling moms take this concept of a teacher's planner and we expect that method to work inside our own homeschooling. Well, guess what? It's not going to work. And here's why: you are homeschooling multiple ages at multiple levels. In addition, you have interruptions that a teacher just doesn't have. You don't have younger ones coming underneath or underfoot into your lesson plans. You don't have the interruptions of telephones as a teacher. You don't have the interruptions of social media as a teacher. There are so many things that a homeschooling mom must learn to juggle, and planning with one planner is the biggest mistake you can do. So back in 2002, when I was getting ready for our third child, I moved away from this one planner. And the reason is oftentimes it got me really overwhelmed when I was just looking at one planner. So what I did is I took a step back, And I planned one for our third grader and one for our first grader. And something happened that I did not expect to happen. What I found is that in planning our homeschooling this way, when I got really busy with our newborn, which we all know that that is definitely something that keeps us sidetracked, um, my daughter, who was an avid reader, was like, "Can I just go ahead and take the planner and do my next lesson? I know what I need to do. Can I just look and see what exactly the assignment is for that subject?" And next thing I know, she never gave back the ownership of that planner. She took ownership of it. She totally took it under her wings, and she was just very independent. She knew how to read. She knew exactly what to do, and she was highly motivated. Well, I did not expect that. And it was such a welcome because my first grader was a struggling reader. At the time, I did not know that he had dyslexia, and which explained so many problems I was having as a homeschooling mom. But I also knew that having a child as independent as my daughter would help me to be able to stay on top of the task and be able to move through our day smoother. So, what ended up surprising me even more is a couple weeks into her having ownership of this grade notebook. Now, do not assume that when I say take ownership of their grade notebook, it means that I'm not a part of their homeschooling. That is definitely not what I'm saying. There's accountability there in the fact that I'm evaluating her work and making sure that it was done with perfect execution. But what I am telling you is that she was taking ownership of what to do, when to do it, and how to do it based on what I gave her in our planner. So we got to this place a couple weeks into her having ownership. I wake up about 8 o'clock in the morning after having a difficult night with my newborn to find that our daughter woke up early, like at 6:30 in the morning, and had already started her lessons and was on her last assignment when I had gotten up. I was floored. And I actually was shocked to the point of not believing her because it just seemed unrealistic. So checked her work. I was surprised to see that it was done with perfect execution. And she was, in fact, on the very last thing for that day. Well, around the same time, our 6-year-old woke up. And may I say, I was shocked. He was highly upset. He was mad that his sister would do school without him. And the reason being is because we followed Charlotte Mason's advice about having natural consequences inside of your lessons, meaning that if they finish their lessons, they've earned more free time. And my daughter took that to heart. And you know what she wanted? She wanted more free time for the outdoor activity project that her and her brother was working on at the time. And the days were getting shorter. I mean, it was dark by 5 o'clock, and our kids had to come in by 4 to get ready for our routines in the evening. So imagine my surprise when she was this motivated to take advantage of the shorter days, make sure she has more time outside. Well, that worked so well that it motivated our 6-year-old son to do the same. And he woke up the next morning and he did the things that he could do independently. And then he was eager for me to start those dependent lessons with him for that same reason. He was motivated to get outside. So by planning your year in advance, a child inside a child's grade notebook is how I unlocked the secret of how to motivate your children to take ownership of their lessons and willingly do them, and to do them at perfect execution. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to do perfect execution without the accountability there. So that's your job as well. But a planner should not just tell you what to do and when to do it. A planner must motivate your children to naturally form the habits of responsibility, accountability, self-management, and direction. Without these things in place, your child will never become self-disciplined in their education or in their conduct or anything else that they need to be taking their place in society at their best. So this is how we can train that work ethic, that responsibility that goes to the core and forms those core values for your children. So the purpose of the right planner raises self-disciplined children. If you're using a planner system that you've been using for years and it's not getting to the place where your children who are capable of reading and seeing what's assigned for that day and take ownership of it and move on their own, then your planner system is not raising disciplined, self-disciplined children. They need mom involved. And so that's what I want you to really take a step back and I want you to consider. Now, since 2002, I have tried, tested, and perfected my planning system into a comprehensive grade notebook system. And that lays out an education, excuse me, I love. Forgive me. I knew I was going to sneeze. I kept trying to stop it, but we're live and life happens. So that's what it is. And what I love is this quote from Charlotte Mason that really guides me in my grade notebook and my planning system. So, what I want to tell you is in this way, give your child a single valuable idea, and you have done more for their education than if you had laid upon his mind the burden of bushel of information. For the child who grows up with a few dominant ideas has his self-education provided for, his career marked out. And so making sure that we are doing the single valuable idea is the key quote that led me into how I designed our grade notebooks. Now, they're not like any other planning system out there. They're really comprehensive and they're unique, and they're developed in the way that Charlotte Mason intended. Now, I want to equip you with 3 steps in planning your homeschool lessons the right way. So, step number 1, use a teacher's planner. I'm sorry, let me start this over. So, the 3 steps to planning your homeschooling lessons the right way is number 1, stop using a teacher's planner to plan your homeschooling lessons for multiple children. Now, if you only have one child, keep doing what you're doing. It's fine. But if you have more than one children you are responsible to teach, then you've got to stop using that teacher's planner. The second one is construct a grade notebook for each child every year. This is why they're called a grade notebook. You're going to make sure that your grade notebook has your child promoting from one grade to the next and gives them everything they need to do, when they need to do it, and how you expect it to be done. Number 3, plan in a way that raises self-disciplined adults. If you are planning your homeschooling in a way that requires mom to be very much involved in this, I've got to tell you, you are really doing it the wrong way. So I want to encourage you to think about how you can raise your children independently, but not just independently in them going the right way. So those habits can be formed that leads to self-discipline. Now, I would love to invite you to join a conversation with me about this. But, I've talked about this grade notebook, and I would love for you to understand that I've done the hard work for you. I've tried, tested, and perfected this planning system. So if you are looking for a planner for your homeschooling, I wouldn't do you justice by letting you just go out and search. Let me introduce you to one of the best things out there that I have ever found, the one that I have put a lot of time, energy, and effort in, and I would love to save you from that as well. I would like for you to meet our line of planners, the Thinker, the Traveler, and the Tracker. Would you like to see the grade notebooks? In case you've not ever seen them, I would really love to introduce you to them. I'm going to start with my favorite. This is the Tracker. Each of our grade notebooks, we have 3 designs right now. Each of our grade notebooks are designed for a way that will help your children to become inspired over one concept. So this one, Tracker, is to inspire observation in the outdoors. And so each planner has its own quote on the front, and inside, each planner has their tabs for each of the subjects. I call them focus subjects. And this will help encompass every subject that Charlotte Mason, she has 13 to 21 subjects for your children. These are the things that's going to help you fit it all in and know exactly how to do it. I've really made this so simple, and it's exactly the way Charlotte Mason intended. But what I love about our dividers, our tabs, is that They each have a quote on it from a book, and it's going to inspire them to track, to go outside and be observant and to look for tracks. Like I said, this is my favorite one. But on the back of every tab, let me move this in front of you. The back of every tab is a place for you to start journal, or your children to start journaling the things that you want to learn this year. This is the things that your children are interested in right now. And this changes as the year goes on. So you can start putting that in there. And then under different ones, the things that impress your children in history. And what I love about how I designed this is that you're journaling your children's interest, you're journaling your children's growth in certain areas. Now, if you remember that quote that I was telling you about is about a few dominant ideas, these will then become your guide for next year's grade notebook to help you to plan out your curriculum as well. So every tab has its own quote, and it's just broken up perfectly for that. And you get to choose your planning pack for each one based on the form that your child is in. This is another one that I love. These, unlike our other two, the tracker and the traveler, this one actually has Charlotte Mason quotes in it that describes what education is. So this inspires your children to understand how education is, where it's found and what it looks like. So this one is quite beautiful. It tends to be the desired one for artistic children and children who are older. But you'll see as well that these binder tabs, divider tabs, are wonderful. And with our grade notebook, you get complimentary bookmarks that correspond with the divider tabs. And then this is our traveler. This one is quotes from books that inspire our children to travel through reading, and then also to go exploring in different ways as well. So this is one of popular one as well, and it's really flowing. So you get to meet our line of planners, and I'm so excited about that. I'm going to get into the comments with you guys right now, and let's have a conversation around this. Well, hello, Samantha and Mary. It's nice to have you guys here. I just have to tell you right now, there's a sale going on. Buy one, get one 50% off on our store. You can go to gradenotebooks.com and go ahead and get that special. In addition, that goes until July 14th, so don't miss that sale. This is a system that I've put so much heart into, and I'm so excited about it. And in the future, we'll have different ones, but I'm ready. I'm just trying to get these out first and kind of follow a little bit of getting some ideas of from those who are using it, some ideas for future ones. So if you're using it this year, you could definitely be inspiring me of different designs in the future. So I will be polling, so to speak, those who are using the grade notebooks for different ideas that their children might be already inspired in, so that I can tap into it. How do we know which planner for each child? That's a really good question. So the grade notebooks, we just encourage our children to pick out the ones that are inspiring them. If your child is struggling with reading or just really are not enjoying reading, I encourage you guys to start with a traveler for the grade notebooks. And that's because the quotes inside will let them understand how amazing it is to read. So, but if your child also loves travel, go with that one. Now for the planning pack inside, there are 5 different planning packs. Those planning packs explain to you on it. Let me see. One of these had the description. So there's 5 different planning packs that you can choose from. This one is for 14 to 15 to 8 or 18 years old. It's really our high school planner. Charlotte Mason did not teach high school. So you want to look on the website, just gradenotebooks.com. You will be able to see on there. I tell you now, what Charlotte Mason's forms were not structured based on exact age. It was really age and skill. So she would say this might be for 7 and 8 years old, but maybe 9 years old. So that 9-year-old means they may not quite be reading well or reading up to the grade level necessary to move forward. So consider where your child are or your child is. Are they behind? Are they advanced? Or are they right on a grade point average of what is expected? So just doing a little bit of research on the website, Samantha, will help you understand exactly what planning pack to get for your children. So forms 4 and 5 are for high school. Forms 3 and 4 is for middle school. And then there are 3 other options. You have Form 1A and Form 1B. Form 1A is for brand new kids just starting out. Form 1B is for kids that are ready for their second year. And then Form 2 is for those who are starting to read, so are reading well. So usually around Form 2 is when your children should be able to take complete ownership of their grade notebook, assuming they know how to read. Now, I also say that this motivates non-readers to take ownership as well, and they'll begin to identify, oh, when I do math, mom checks it off here. Or if I do reading, mom checks it off here. And they'll start paying attention closer to what you're doing, and they'll want ownership. That has been our examples from our children as well. So they're definitely loved. Samantha says, I struggle with grade level labels because they are so vague, in my opinion. Yes. So when I was creating this planning system, I had to not only think about what a child might be behind or ahead. And Charlotte Mason does that. I mean, she very much, if you read about her in her original writing, she's very clear about it may be a child a little bit older. And then in some cases, like for this one, for 14 or 15. So this, it might be a little bit earlier, is because they might be a little bit advanced. So she was really, really good about that. The key thing is within our planning system, let me see which one has. I'll use this one. Within our planning system, it tells you all of the subjects for that level. And then I have it broken up for you under the tabs. But what I love about this is that you might not know very much about Charlotte Mason, and that's okay. But what I've done is I've given you guided quotes at the top. This is a guided quote from Charlotte Mason, and it will tell you what she would have what she wanted you to consider and what she intended for that form to be studying for that subject, as well as how long her timetables for each of those subjects. So it really removes a lot of the thought process that you have to go through, the effort of decision, to help you just really focus in on what those wholesome influences are that you want to provide in the form of lessons for your children. So if you have any more questions, go ahead and post it. I'll come back to it, but I'm trying to keep these shorter because I know how busy we homeschool moms can be. But I also wanted to give you a little highlight in this of what is available to you right now on sale. And next week, I am so excited because I'm going to continue the live show. I'm so glad for those of you who showed up live because I love the interaction. Next week, I'm going to be teaching from overwhelmed to organized, streamlining your homeschool planning with a grade notebook system. So if you're at this place where you're just having total overwhelm about your curriculum, how to plan, how to move from one teacher's planner to grade notebooks, because now you might be thinking, goodness gracious, Dollie, you just overwhelmed me now that I don't just have one planner, I have multiple planners to figure out. I've got to tell you, one of my customers a couple years back, Candace, she has multiple children, 13 children, and she was pregnant for her 13th. And she got our grade notebook systems all planned. Well, this was before I created the grade notebook system. I just was teaching how to do it on your own. And so she took what I taught inside the planning framework and she built her own. She constructed her own grade notebooks for her children who were already in formal education. I don't remember exactly how many there were, but let me just tell you, it was more than one handful. And so she got them all done, and she ended up having her child prematurely. And she told me later that the grade notebook is what saved her homeschooling year. If she had not put her energy into creating that for her children, her homeschool year would have been really, really difficult. And so it really takes it away, especially if your children are already reading. They can completely take ownership of this. But mamas, don't forget to evaluate and follow up with the accountability to make sure that there is, in fact, perfect execution. Shina, I think is Shayna, I bet you that's how you say it. I ordered the planner pages yesterday with the buy one, get one free. That's awesome. Or buy one, get one 50% off sale. I'm realizing that the binders is a separate thing. Looks like I need to go order a few of those too. It is a separate thing. And when you buy them all together, you save a lot of money. So just realize that when you're going in. So the planning system is all there. You could still take what you bought and create your own grade notebook. That's completely up to you. But I went ahead because the years of coaching mamas and how to construct their own grade notebook, I realized it would be easier if I just did it for them. And because they were confused about how the tabs, what subjects to put it under and all of that. So I went ahead and constructed these grade notebooks, and their children love them. The ones that are using them are loving them. Manoa loves them. And so definitely do that. I want those tabs. So you can buy the tabs separately too, Shayna. They're not on sale. I don't believe they're on sale. I don't remember how we set up the coupon. But the tabs are powerful. So you won't get the binder if you do them separately, and you won't get the bookmarks. And so I think Elizabeth is the one whose children would start to trade their bookmarks, and then they realize, no, I want to keep my bookmarks. I want them to be unique to my book and to be there too. So you can buy the different pieces, or you can buy them all. But by buying the grade notebook system all together, you save some good money that way. All right, you all. So next week, we're going to talk about going from overwhelm to organized. You don't want to miss it. We're going to go a little deeper on planning and how to make sure that you're really setting it up for raising self-disciplined adults, because we're raising our children to become adults. Let's start giving them the habits now. All right, you all, thank you for joining me. Thank you for interacting. And I cannot wait to see you next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, remember, this is so important. I get emotional sometimes when I think about it, but remember, eternity is only one influence away. We mamas have a lot to do, but we must remember that influences are very, very important. So do all you can to do the right things, and influences matter. I'll see you next time.